0-0 draw at Stamford Bridge tonight between Fulham and Chelsea. Many of the new signings over January making their debuts. Mudryk making his home debut. The return of Raheem Sterling. Reece James, of course, at right back. And Ben Chilwell as fullback. And another poor night at Stamford Bridge. That is just one win now in the previous 6 Premier League games. Only 3 goals have been scored by Chelsea in their previous 6 Premier League games. It is 3 clean sheets on the bounce, so there's an element of positivity there. But I think that Chelsea fans will be disappointed with that performance tonight. They saw one of their record signings in Mahalo Mudryk hooked off at halftime, completely uneventful performances, completely um, drab display from that young man. And I understood why he was dragged off. He was actually playing deeper than Mason Mount in that game. He just looked lost out there under the lights at Stamford Bridge. Starting Ziyech was a weird decision for me. Although he created the best chance of the game for Chelsea when he played a delicious ball over the top for Kai Havertz, and we'll move on to Havertz, Gallagher, and Mount later. The fact that he didn't put the fact that Ziyech was starting, considering 2 days ago, 3 days ago, you sent him to Paris and then you messed up the paperwork so that he couldn't leave, was a strange decision. A strange decision from Graham Potter. Maybe it was a way of making the player feel better, but clearly he knows he's not part of your plans. You've scarpered his move that's frustrated him. I thought that was a poor decision. But the biggest problem for Chelsea tonight, yes, we know it's going to take time to gel. But there's 3 players I want to speak about: Mount, Kai Havertz, and Conor Gallagher. It may just be me, but I personally feel whenever I watch Chelsea play, every single attack breaks down or falls apart as and when one of those players touches the ball. It's nearly always the result of one of those 3 touching the ball. There was an example in the game very early on. Mount picks the ball up in the middle. Mahalo Mudryk makes a great run through the center, and there was a hole, there's a space to play the ball into. By the time the ball's played by Mason Mount, I think it was Tete, who was man of the match, by the way, closed off the space and intercepted it. But Mount should have made the pass 3 or 4 strides earlier. He did this when there was 2 or 3 occasions to play João Felix in when they played Fulham a few weeks ago. Conor Gallagher, he had a good shot in the second half that I think it deflected and nearly went in. Aside from that, Conor Gallagher is a lightweight, and he should be nowhere near a heavyweight club like Chelsea. And then Kai Havertz, you could argue he was unlucky with the dink ball over the top that hit the crossbar, hit the post and nearly went in. But you should be finishing that. £73 million player, early mid-20s. Been at Chelsea, 3 years now? Should be burying that. And back to Mount. He's lost. He is lost. He doesn't have the technical ability and he doesn't have the power. All he's got is energy. He runs around and presses. Legitimately, Liverpool should sign him. He's a Liverpool midfielder. No real surmountable quality on the ball, but just a workhorse. He is literally Jordan Henderson without the leadership capabilities. And I mean that's the most respectful way I can talk about Mason Mount. That element of Chelsea was terrible. And look, I think this Chelsea team is going to progress. I think this Chelsea team is going to become better. But I will call out poor performances. And I think that when I want to make sure I get all the names of these individual players right. When Fofana came on with 15 minutes to go, he was far more dangerous than Mason Mount. Nearly scored. His shot was a little bit scruffy when he rounded Leno, who came out, but he nearly scored. In that 15 minutes, he was far more potent, far more energetic. You saw when Raheem Sterling came on. I think Raheem Sterling's got a future. He came on and was dangerous. As an example, I thought, I always get his name right. Is it Madueke, who came on? I thought he looked quick, dangerous. As soon as he got moved out to that right-hand side, he kind of fell away from the game. Maybe he's not meant to be out there. I don't know enough about the guy. I need you to tell me and educate me on that one. But there's so many problems out there today. Who I didn't think it was a problem was Enzo Fernandez. I was impressed with his performance. I think he held on to the ball. He made a few mistakes and lost the ball in a few areas. And I saw people tweeting saying he loses the ball too much. He lost the ball today 12 times. That's the average of Casemiro and Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey 11.8, Casemiro 12.2 times per game in the Premier League. So it wasn't an exorbitant amount of times that he lost the ball. You have to do your research to see how that fits in with the best, and then you kind of go from there. He broke up play well. But remember, Enzo Fernandez isn't the guy who's meant to be creating the chances. Enzo Fernandez isn't the guy who's meant to be doing Mason Mount's job. Yes, he's been very expensive, but that isn't his job. And I think what they've got to get right is they left him in a single pivot. You had Mount and Gallagher that were pushing forward and consistently losing the ball in areas where they shouldn't be, and it was leaving him a little bit exposed. So Graham Potter's got to get this right. Graham Potter has got to drop Mason Mount. Graham Potter has got to drop Conor Gallagher. They cannot be in this team. They cannot be in this team. Not good enough. They don't have the power and they don't have the energy. They are lightweight cream puffs. They're cream puffs. Lightweights. They blow away. You don't have to be big, but you have to be strong. Kante isn't a big player, but he's strong. Fred at Man United isn't a big player, but he's strong. I'll give you an example. And he said Emil Heskey. I meant Lukaku. He's huge, but he's not strong. He doesn't use his physicality as well as he should. And I look at Mason Mount, I look at Conor Gallagher, and they are absolute lightweights, featherweights. You can blow them away. And Kai Havertz ain't much better either. Those three are Chelsea's big problem. People will say that the team needs time to gel. As I think it was Mount came off, and who else did they take off? Mount came off and things improved as an example. You know, they took Ziyech off that shouldn't be out there either. Things got a little bit better. They should have brought off Kai Havertz as well and Conor Gallagher. Things would have got even better for them. I want to see a few games at Chelsea without those two because they're a disaster. And Graham Potter's got to sort this out. 600 to 700 million has been spent on this squad for him. And he's playing free absolute bog standard run of the mill. I'm not sure if they could all play for Fulham. Legitimately. Mount maybe. The other two, they wouldn't get in this Fulham team. Kai Havertz is not better than Mitrovic. He isn't. And Conor Gallagher, he does not play in this midfield. Conor Gallagher's not as good as Andreas Pereira, and he is nowhere near as good as why is his name just eluding me now? My brain's just gone. Polinia. Yeah, he's nowhere near. He's nowhere near their level. And as much as this squad's going to take time, Graham Potter needs to be called out for big mistakes he made tonight. Start him hacking Ziyech. Woeful decision. And playing the three biggest problems personnel-wise at Chelsea, Mount, Havertz, Gallagher, and leaving two of them on for the entirety of the game, it's sackable. I'm not saying you will sack him, but it's a kind of gross negligence that could see anybody else in any other profession sacked. It's like a surgeon turning up drunk to surgery, sewing you back up and leaving a scalpel inside you. Legit. It's like finding your milkman drinking your milk on the doorstep. It's like finding the postman in the house where your missus. Sorry, that made me laugh. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It really is. And it annoyed me. I'm not a Chelsea fan. It shouldn't annoy me, but it did. It legitimately annoyed me. I'm like, why is Potter not seeing what all Chelsea fans see and the majority of football? I tweeted earlier asking this. That tweet now has had like nearly 1,000 likes and about 30 to 40 quote tweets. And it's just starting to get cooking. And I've never had a tweet that's had so many people in agreement with me. Even when they get a lot of likes and a lot of retweets, it's like 50-50 with Terry, you're a dickhead. This is not Terry, you're spot on. Some are saying, I can't believe it's taken you this long. But for me, Chelsea fans have got to speak up about this. Those three shouldn't be playing games anymore for Chelsea. You've spent so much money. Get them out of the They're awful. They are legitimately awful.